Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where today we will be taking a look at the Era 2 Western Alliance Premium Medium, the T-54D. And the first thing I'll say about this tank is I saw T-54D and I thought, Eastern Alliance, and then I played it in games like Western Alliance. Oh, okay. What's the deal with this? Well, this has all of the German camos available to it, so that tells me this is a West German version of the T-54, an up-armoured version of the T-54. And speaking of armour, you will see just how good it is in this game here, because I deliberately, I deliberately sit here just to see how good the armour is. So I'll say no more about that at this point. The T-54D is what I would call a below-average medium with superb armour, like you're seeing right now. It's bouncing a fair bit. It has 40 to 50 millimeters of spaced armour at the front and all the way around the turret, and that is sitting on top of what appears to be a slightly up-armoured version of the T-54. The T-54D feels like the FV-4211 of mediums. It's very slow, but it has very good armour. The catch with this tank, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the catch is it appears to be only available by gambling with the Tier 2 silver war chests during the Winterfest 2024 season. I'm assuming this tank will go on sale after the season at some point, and at that point it will cost you 12,500 gold, which I think is that's quite a high price for what you actually get with this tank. Okay, let's take a look at the T-54D in a little bit more detail. Now, with mediums in Era 2, we rank them because there are so many in the game now. So let's take a look at the T-54D and compare it to the 20 other premium mediums in Era 2. Penetration on standard rounds comes in at 370 millimeters, which ranks it 18th. Not great. Average alpha per shot on standard rounds is going to do 460 alpha, which ranks it 10th. That ties it with 10 other mediums, so that's average alpha for a premium medium in Era 2, I'd say. It has 2,750 hit points, which ranks it 7th, tying with 4 other premiums. Its unboosted top speed comes in at 51 kilometers an hour, which makes it the second slowest premium medium in Era 2. It has a view range that is superb, coming in at 520 meters, which ranks it second, tying it with 2 other premiums. Moving concealment is 400 meters, which ranks it 19th. And finally, we will throw in the DPM as well, which comes in at 3,367, and that ranks it 13th. So, all in all, the T-54D is not a brilliant medium tank. The gun performance and gun handling are mediocre at best, and its 5 degrees of gun depression, that doesn't really help it that much either. Add to that the poor mobility, and you can end up with games where all you do is drive. In all fairness, though, to this tank, I wouldn't expect it to be quick, because the up-armoring of this thing naturally would slow it down quite a lot. The thing that I find limits this tank the most is, and this is outside of the stats that we've listed, the gun feels like it doesn't hit very hard, and the shells feel like they travel very slowly. Statistically, these shells travel at just I think it's 1,445 meters per second. So that's not slow by any means for Era 2, or a medium for that, for any gun really. But for whatever reason, it just feels lacking to me. I've played several games in this thing, and it's a challenge. The armor is great, but the gun feels like it is lacking somewhat. I haven't fired any gold rounds out of this thing, so I can't comment on how the gun improves with gold rounds. Maybe that's how this thing needs to be played, and I would, based on my experience, I would recommend that, yeah, you guys should try playing with this thing with gold rounds. But all in all, I do think this is a below average medium. A good player will be able to make this thing sing, but for most people, there's that kind of shot right there. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, maybe that's my mistake, didn't lead it enough, but that to me felt like, okay, that should have gotten there quicker. But anyway, yeah, I think a good player, a very good player, will be able to make this thing sing. But for the average player, it's going to be very forgiving because of the armor. And again, in this game here, I know the enemy team is going to be coming around sort of straight ahead of me. I'm sitting on this sort of this ridge here, pointing my armor towards the enemy, just because I'm curious to see how much I can bounce. And there goes an ATGM bouncing. I've lost count of how many shots just bounced there. So it's going to be very forgiving for new players. I will say that. But it's not a tank that I would say, oh, you must have the T54D. This is an amazing medium. It's not quite like that. And when we're talking about this tank in the context of the what is it, Winterfest 2024 Christmas season, the fact that this thing is, as far as I understand, only available in the tier 2 silver loot boxes, and you basically got to gamble for this thing. I don't think this tank is worth gambling for. If you get this tank, then great, you got this tank. But I don't think you're missing out by not having this tank. I believe the I know the Weasel Era 3 Weasel Toe is one of the other tanks that you can get from this box. That one, yeah, that one is definitely worth it. So if you get that out of it, then well done, congrats. That's a solid tank. But this one, I don't think you're really missing out by not having this one. If you do get it, then congrats. Keep the armor facing towards the enemy, and you'll bounce a fair bit because the armor is very, very solid. But for me, this tank feels a little lackluster, just ever so slightly lackluster. I think I need to play it a little bit more just to really get into the groove with it, to try and make it work better. But my initial impression is that this is, it's not broken, it's not toxic, it's not unbalanced. I think it could use a little bit of love, but on the whole, it's another addition to the collection of premium mediums that we have in Era 2. Alright, so before we close this one out, let's take a look at the economy stats. It's got a 60% silver boost, 10% tank XP boost, 5% free XP boost, and finally a 15% crew XP boost. So yeah, the silver boost there, helping it along a little bit. If you don't do brilliantly well in games, then you know you'll get a silver boost. You know, you might not be the best player in Era 2, but you can use this thing to grind just that little bit more silver if that's what you're interested in. So this tank, great armor, great view range, good silver boost, but that's about it. Don't want to say it like don't want to end this on a complete negative. The armor is stupendously good. It's very good. But there is obviously more to a tank than just its armor. If you can't get the gun to work, then you're going to struggle. But maybe you can get it to work. I don't know. Okay, folks, that's all I've got for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave it a like, if not a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.